Hi, so I'm Carly113, and this is going to be my first video ever on YouTube. Basically, I'm going to review and theorize about chapter 448 and 449 and what it means for the series. I was really not really willing to do this because I hate showing myself on camera, hence the hat and the funny looking mask. Anyways, 448 is basically we have gotten Makarov back and they're going back to the guild. You know, everybody's back together, and we hear a little bit about what's happening to the past year. I know that a lot of other reviewers said that nothing really important happened in this chapter except for the last part, the whole Mavis and Zervis. But, I don't think so. I think there were some things, some interesting points that I wanted to bring out. And I think it's because I just like to, look at pictures and scenes and put them together to make some kind of theory up, but I just enjoy doing it. So we have them coming back, so they're talking about what's going on the past year. We have some funny scenes about where Laxus was an entertainer and everybody's like an entertainer. We have everybody getting together. And then we have a scene where Makarov's back, Lucy's with Canna, and Canna gives her beer. And then she starts talking, monologuing, so to speak. About Laxus and the Thunder God and the Alvarez Empire, and they're talking about how Zerif is the emperor of the Alvarez Empire, and he's trying to get Lumen Historia. And so she's like, a battle is about to start, probably the most difficult one we've gone through so far. I don't want to lose anybody. I want to win like always, and to be with everyone again, laugh together. At this time, that was my only wish. And then when I saw this, it reminded me of the whole dragon thing where future Lucy came back and she wrote a journal. And I was thinking, and this made me think, when she said this, I was thinking, what if the alternate future was only partially false? And he talks about, we're going to get attacked, and we don't know what we're going to do. And then Nas is like, so what? So what? But he talks about how we're gonna fight. He's this whole nice little war speech. He's like, I'm scared, but we're gonna fight so we can laugh and we can be happy and all that kind of stuff. And our goal is not victory. We're fighting to live. That's our battle. So that made me think, does that mean they're gonna die? Like a lot of people are gonna die? And then I was thinking about the dragon arc or whatever that was, the whole thing, the whole future, Lucy, where Lucy comes down. And I was like, and she talks about where everybody's dead, everybody's dying. And I thought, well, what if the whole dragon festival where everybody died was not the eclipse, but this one with Zerif? Gray and Juvia are gonna die protecting each other. Elfman and Evergreen are gonna die. Macau and Wakaba and Romeo are gonna live. Wendy may or may not die. Natsu may or may not die. Lucy, I don't think is gonna die at all. Urza's definitely gonna die. Either that she would die with Jalel, because they'd have to, if they were fighting together, they'd wind up dying together. And that's kind of what made me think this chapter was interesting, because it got me theorizing about that. But now they're all ready for war. And then Makarov starts talking about Lumen Historia, and then this is the hype section where Mavis says, let me talk about that instead. And we hear about the whole Mavis thing, so she says, let me talk about why Zerif is coming after me. As soon as I saw her in that crystal, I didn't think she was dead. I don't think she ever died. So I was just kind of all like, why is she frozen in time? Did she have to be frozen to save somebody? Or was it to prepare for this upcoming war or whatever? After that, she talks about the story of her and Zerif, the cursed boy and the cursed girl. Now we go on to chapter 449. I actually like this translation on Manga Stream better than the one on Manga Panda, whereas I like the 448 translation on Manga Panda better. Everybody's in their pretty swimsuits. Nelson's looking cool with his scarf on his head. I think he looks way cooler with it on his head than around his neck. And then we have the story about Zervis and Mavis, and she's like, we met 100 years ago. And this is covered in Fairy Tale Zero. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. It's like 13 chapters long. Basically, it's basically how the whole guild began, and like what happened at Mavis, what made her want to start the guild, and so on. And in that thing is where we find out that Zervis actually taught Mavis and everybody magic. So he's tied to them quite in a very interesting way. And she talks about that he didn't scare her. She actually was interested in him. He intrigued her. So she wanted to know more about him. So we go into that part, which is kind of a recap of everything, where she like uses her fairy law, and like where he teaches her magic, and then she uses fairy law to save her friend because he's like turning evil because he has this jewel or something that the typical person can't handle without being corrupted. And I think that's what Mission was trying to say in this thing. And so she uses this thing to save him. And then it says in this one that, and because of that I can't grow. So that's kind of like the whole backstory. And then after that is where we come into stuff that wasn't covered in Fairy Tale Zero other than the outline, which it mentioned the trade wars. So basically we have these wars going on, and we have Mavis doing Mavis at the front ends, and she's like, we need to do it this way to tell the left flank to fall back. And then the other guys are all like, the soldiers are all like, what? What are you talking about? Why should we listen to you? I think it's kind of funny. Like, why should we listen to you? You're just a You're just a fairy. This isn't your business. They basically say that, and I think that's pretty funny. But she's like, she does it anyways. She just goes into like, well, this is how we can defeat them. And then she says, and there's also 49 other ways we can defeat them. And they're kind of freaked out about it. They're like, oh my gosh, she's scary. The soldiers are kind of freaked out about it. And then her guildmates are just kind of laughing because they kind of expected this. They've been with her, so they know how she is. So they're all like, there she goes again. What's happening now? And I think that's kind of funny how they do that. Anyways, so we go into we meet the guild, and then we have where she's like, we need to do this so the few fairy tale people go out there to fight. And then it has, Yuri and Precht and Ward going to fight, and I thought it was kind of funny because Ward's kind of like Elfman. Would it be weird if he was like their parents? Like their dad or something? Or grandpa, I guess, because he's 100 years old. That would be like totally cool. I mean, he even wears the Hawaiian shirts that Elfman wears in the pants, so that would be cool if they were like actually related in that way. And then they win. A lot of people die. A lot of people die because they win with the few people, and they're kind of freaked out about it. And then the guild's all celebrating and everything, and Mavis is all like, we killed so many people. And so she's kind of like upset about that. Like, she's wondering how many people she killed, and it's kind of hurting her because she cares about them. And then she's like, I just want to go on an adventure. Oh, also, this is the part where we have the Magna Carta, or whatever it is, in which the people get together and say the guild can no longer fight in wars. No matter what. So I think that's kind of neat how they bring that out in here. So then we have this thing where she wanders off after the war, and she bumps into Zervis again. It's like, oh, I'm so excited to see you! Yay! I'm so excited to see you. And so, he's like, wait, you can't get closer, else I'll kill you. And she's like, I don't care. And then she, hugs him. And I sat here and I was kind of like, wait, is Zervis real? This is about... I kind of freaked out. I always thought the whole Mavis and Zervis thing was kind of cool. So when I saw the pool scene, and I was like, is this supposed to be another ship? Because I'm really big into all the ships. And so I was like, and then I saw this one, and I was like, oh my gosh, is Zervis actually real? Does it really exist? That was basically my thought when I saw this. I was like, is Zervis real? Because like you have him, he's like surprised. She totally hugged him. He's not used to human contact at all, and she wasn't killed. He's like, whoa, you hugged me and you're not dead. And then she's like telling him how thankful she is for helping them to win the war then and helping him to win now. And then they have a nice little talk where they chat for a bit, and she finds out who he is, and then she like doesn't believe him because she's like, you're so nice, how could you be evil? But I mean, he was good when he was young. He was good when he was young. You know, and I think 400 years of ability to kill everybody probably kind of twisted him into the monster that he became. So like, actually, I kind of am. If they're bad, I'm probably like that. And then she's like, but you're nice. I don't understand. And in this part, you're too innocent, my dear. Maybe that's because I kind of think the whole Zervis thing is kind of cool. The whole darkness-light combination thing. It's very intriguing. It's been 10 years, and he's like, well, you haven't changed. And she's like, well, it's because I used fairy law, and my body stopped aging. And he was like, what? You actually used it? Are you crazy? And so anyways, so he does this thing where he like goes like this to her, and he gets like super up in her face. And as soon as I saw this, I was kind of like, wait, are they gonna kiss? They look like they're gonna kiss. Zervis is actually real? No way! But anyhow, so we have this hard part where she's all like freaked out about it. She's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And so he's telling her basically that she has his curse. This is what made me actually want to review these chapters, because I had been thinking before that, you know, that Mavis had some kind of curse. You know, that like as soon as I saw that whole her and the crystal, I was all like, I don't think she ever died. I think it was just an act to cover something up. And then when I came to this part, I was like, I was right! Oh my gosh! She's immortal just like him. And this part where he talks about her having her curse. Her having his curse. And I was thinking, I suppose, but I was thinking that's kind of weird considering that he's like evil and she's not. So I was thinking about the whole curse, and I was like, isn't he supposed to be the curse, the god of life and death? Life and death. What if Mavis is actually the life side? And Zerif, of course, is the death side. But what if it was the opposite side? It reacted completely different. Like for him, when he's all like, I don't want to kill anybody, I don't want to kill anything, like he sends out waves of death magic. But what if hers the opposite? Like, versus like, she doesn't want to kill something and she randomly kills it. She doesn't want to kill something and she doesn't kill it, but she kills everything else against it. Wouldn't that be kind of like the Oxfam curse too? So she does have the same curse, but in a different way. So anyhow, they're having this conversation, and Mavis like is terrified of him terrified of what he's saying. She runs away. And then the part that made me wonder was this part where people were saying that she causes death, and I noticed that when he was looking at her when she ran away, he looked at her, the flowers started dying, and I was thinking, are they dying because she is upset? Or are they dying because she ran away from him? To me, it just makes more sense that this started dying because she ran away from Zerif versus it started dying because she was upset. But it could be that way too. They were together for like, who knows how long. Nothing died around them. And then he has this thing, well, you are the only one who can walk alongside me. And I'm all like, she was intrigued by him and now he's intrigued by her. And he's evil, so if he winds up caring about her, it would be like in the totally wrong way because he's evil, and it's like the dark side of love. But and that's the whole theory that Zervis and Mavis actually are attracted to another. But that was the end of the chapter. So she runs away from him, and then we have Makarov and them being born, and she's all like, I am aware that I'm about dying. But and this says tears are not enough to brighten the darkness of the mistake. What is a mistake? Is a mistake her using fairy law? Because she just did that to save her friend. Overall, I thought these chapters were pretty good. I thought they tied in really well with one another. I thought they led a good setup for what is to come in the future. I'm pretty sure this isn't the only chapter that's going to be about Zervis and Mavis, because if you look at the back of Fairy Tale Zero, they had the timeline, and there was a couple years there that were blacked out, and this was one of them. So I think they're going to meet again, and maybe they'll meet when she realizes whose words are true. They'll be friendly to one another. Friendly, but still on edge about what's going on. So I don't think this is going to be the end of their story, and I hope it's not the end of the story. Also, I was thinking that, you know, when she seals herself, or does she seal herself in the future? Does she seal herself, or is she sealed by somebody else because they're scared of her connection to Zervis? As far as both of them having the curse, he's darkness and she's light, and light and darkness are supposed to be as strong as one another. So, and they're supposed to balance each other out or whatnot. But that's just me because I think the whole yin yang thing is kind of cool. And whereas he has to dislike life to not kill it or whatever, she has to not. That's what it was. She has to not like as her friends as much to not kill people around them. That's what I think the curse is. But why was she cursed? Anyhow, that's it. This is my first YouTube video. It's kind of long. I'll probably cut it down a little bit. If you want to say something, say something. I would be interested to your response. Even if it's to make fun of me and my hat and my funny mask. Which I will remove the hat now. So I just look like a funky person with a mask. Bye. I'm out.